give you all the updates. So on the agenda today, we have, of course, the financial updates. We'll give you all the meter revenues, the balance, and the projections. Nikki Knight with the Greater Southeast Management District will provide us an update on the Arbor Care job that was completed in the past few months. We'll have a kind of a discussion about future project proposals and then an open forum, and then we'll adjourn. So let's go first to the museum park income statement. And Kathleen, I did see your email asking for it to be sent earlier, and we will be doing a better job moving forward. So my apologies. This is on me. I didn't get a chance to review, and then with the emergency in the way, we just had this kind of fell off the radar. So I apologize. Next time, our goal is to at least get this out to y'all at least 3 days before the meeting. Like when we have the agenda posted, that we send this to our advisory committee members. So we will get better at this, I promise. So I'm sorry.
No apologies necessary. I appreciate your sending it.
Yeah. So for the museum park income statement, you can see we've got here July until December monthly revenue, gross revenues. The first row is permit sales and the second row is meter revenue. Right now, we are at an actual of $307,000, almost $308,000 in meter revenue, and I will circle it. Can you all see my cursor on the? So this is 6 months worth of actual revenue. This is our projection for the full year. As you know, there is a hurdle for the museum park parking benefit district that it has to earn at least, I believe the number is 524,000. I used to have that memorized, but it's escaped me. So once anything over that 524,000 is then eligible for the split. So we are looking at, and I'm going to come down here to my other screen, the total shareable revenue. We're anticipating about $99,000 over that 524,000 hurdle, which means the museum park PBD will get approximately almost $60,000 in revenue for this fiscal year. So as a reminder, our fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. And per the MOU with the Greater Southeast Management District, within 30 days of the close of our fiscal year, we need to cut a check and send it to the Greater Southeast Management District for all the revenues that have been earned by the PBD. So as of now, we are projecting, let me just make sure I'm reading that right, about $59,000, almost $60,000 in revenue to the museum park PBD that can be allocated to projects in the next fiscal year. Do we have any questions over here? Okay, I'm going to go to my next slide. So this is not entirely accurate, and Nikki, maybe you can update on the Arbor Care project a little bit later. But what we are showing here is the Arbor Care project, where we allocated $25,000, and my notes. We allocated $25,000, but I believe $20,935 is what was actually spent. Correct, Nikki? Yeah. Okay. So on the payments, we just need to correct that. We show we don't have the full payment on here. The full payment for the entire Arbor Care project that the committee voted on in the fall that was completed, and Nikki will give us an update, was $20,935. So if you look here, we have the fund balance as when we started this fiscal year. So July 1st of this fiscal year, Museum Park had earned about $78,000 in their fund. We are projecting this $59,000 for this fiscal year. So once you subtract the $20,000, that would leave a revenue share of $59,804 for this fiscal year. That's not including the $59,000 that I've got there. So we need to update this with those to reflect those numbers. So right now, Museum Park Parking Benefit District has $59,800. No, sorry, not that. Sorry, I wrote the wrong numbers down. Hold on, I need to pull up my spreadsheet. I just realized I'm looking at the wrong. Hang on one second, I'm sorry. Okay. $57,305. That's what is in the bank account right now as of today, after we've spent the $20,000. So 78 minus the 20,000, that leaves us with $57,305. And then once we earn the $59,000 for this next fiscal year, provided there are no projects that we allocate any funds to this fiscal year, it'll bring your balance to about $117,000.
So
That clear?
78,240 was the total income, right?
Yes, that was for the past 2 fiscal years. Or maybe it's 3 fiscal years. You know, COVID was part of that, so there wasn't much revenue generated.
Right. So cumulatively, we had 78,240.
Yes.
And then this year, the expectation is 59.
Correct.
804. So we'll have about 120,000.
Correct.
At the end of FY24. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So moving on to the meter and permit revenue, you can see in November we had quite a dip in meter revenue, but December went a little bit back up. December actually performed a little better than what we've seen in even other metered locations. Typically, November and December are down periods for meters, but the museum park meters did a little bit better than we expected. We did about 15,000 transactions, which holds up to, you know, October and August. I'm not sure why September was a little bit lower, like a November number. That's not par for the course. Typically, September is a good month for meters. For your average transaction, again, we're holding the average about $3.50 per meter transaction. Now our citation count did go up. We've added some more staff and changed up patrols a little bit. So we've got about 114 expired meter citations for December, which is probably a little bit higher than what we normally do, but it correlates to the fact that we've got more meter transactions too. So those are the numbers.
Is there a location where there's an increased number of citations?
We have not looked at that specifically, but we can. It's something we can look into.
No, I'm just curious how the I mean, y'all are really good about deploying people to the necessary places, but I just wondered if you're seeing an uptick in.
We also changed beats. So sometimes officers, when they stay in the same beat for a while, sometimes things get comfortable. Sometimes they, it's like kind of your drive to work. Like you leave your house, next thing you know, you're at work. You don't remember passing the billboards, the buildings. I'm not saying it's the exact same, but I kind of say it's like that. You get, very comfortable in an area. And so when we switch up beats, then sometimes a different set of eyes will find things that perhaps were being missed before. So I think part of it is just the changing of the rotation of the beats. Excellent. Which serves well. All right.
So I do have one question on the numbers. Does that, thank you, Nikki, for that balance. Does that number include Pay and Bartlett?
So the 78,240 less the $20,935 that's already been paid, and then we add in the projected revenue. The number that I have is 117,109. Somebody can check that. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. 78,240.
That's what I have. Yes.
Minus 20,935. 57,305 is what will be remaining from the existing funds. We're projecting an addition of $59,804. I have $117,109 is what we are looking to have in the account if we don't spend anything. Okay, just wanted to make sure I was correct. I was accurate in my numbers so I can make notes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good to know where we are financially on it. I mean, real time. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah. And we'll have it like that in the presentation at the next meeting. we didn't have the updated numbers when we put together our slides, so.
Oh, no, this is great. I'm not being critical at all. Just appreciate updated numbers. Thank
Yep.
you.
But Bartlett's completely done at this point, right? Like they've already billed us everything that we've done for or asked them to do and stuff.
So as of November, they told me that was their final building. I don't have any additional items that I'm expecting, but I also have
Okay.
not had much communication or responsiveness from Joe. So
Right.
I'll yield my comments on this nice, fine
Thank you.
Wednesday.
Okay. All right. So if I have no other questions, I'm going to go on to the next slide where we talk about projects. So now that we have completed the Bartlett project, there was some other discussion about maintaining the softscape and some minor sidewalk repairs. And there was also discussion about continuing some additional arbor care. I know we don't have a full committee here, but any feedback or thoughts on next steps?
Well, I personally would like to hear what Nikki, did you get a report from Bartlett?
Yeah. I haven't, again, our last the emails that you were on, Kathleen, are the
Yeah.
last correspondence I received from Joe. So, yeah, I haven't received any.
So on the arbor care, we identified there was a specific set of trees that we asked Bartlett to irrigate and
Prune and fertilize, yeah.
prune and fertilize. And then was there, so I understand that he completed all that work, right?
Understanding. So the email that I have on November 16th is that we listed out what items needed to be done.
Mhm.
The tree inventory with raw data, final report on all deliverables and recommendations, and all invoicing to the district. As of today, I've not received it. Our last correspondence from him was on November the 21st.
So we didn't receive the tree inventory that.
So we don't really have verification that the work was done.
The tree inventory and the invoice that I have, let me verify the last invoice that I have from Joe.
Because I mean, I think as we all know, that inventory is not critically important. It's not like, but it is important so that we know what's been done and what remains to be done, because we had a complete survey done, and we talked about continuing on with the arbor care and a systematic approach, but it doesn't sound like it's going to work out with Bartlett.
So I reached out to Memorial Park concerning too, and I also.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to hold my poker face because, something deep down inside knew, right? But I yielded to the will of the committee, and, but it's okay.
I mean, my suggestion would be, if we are going to move forward with something like arbor care, we write up like a really kind of detailed scope and we put it out to bid. Kyle, I know y'all probably have, who does arbor care at Herman Park?
Well, Mario, we already have a scope for this effort. The ongoing, we can just use the scope that we gave for Bartlett, and I think that's where we left this conversation the last time, was that what are the requirements? Because Nikki, there was a $25,000 management district limit, and then did we have? I personally don't think that we're required to do an RFP. I think we can just solicit proposals, but I leave that in Nikki's hands, and that was kind of, I think, where we left it. So Kyle, I'm sorry for interrupting. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that we've been kind of pushed to have to do a blended approach now too, between Bartlett and Davie, because the responsiveness from Joe has been similar, but we were able to lock them down for a monthly meeting, and so that has been good. Like we did finally start getting responses from him then by doing that, and so I don't know if that's an approach we would want to take or not, but like that was what we finally had to do because we were struggling to get, I mean, a significant amount of work that it's like, wow, how is this happening? Like, I mean, we've got a big account, and so, but it's just, they just haven't bounced back after the change of staff that they had a couple of years ago.
So you're using Davey is the other, and that's who I spoke with, and I didn't make any commitments whatsoever, but I just asked them if they could do a similar programmatic approach because I think one thing that the super neighborhood is pretty insistent on is having or would really like to see happen is a consistent consultant doing our arbor care rather than, and I think Nikki, that would make Nikki's life a lot easier too, so that we have somebody that knows the area and isn't just a one-off. I think that's where we left the conversation the last time, that we really want a programmatic approach here, similar to what Herman Park has done. So Nikki, did you identify what the requirements are for the management district? Can we do just
so
request proposals?
We can get 3 proposals, yes. But we just need to send it out to, if we have a list of people that we'd like to send it to, we can just send it to that group, or we can use the city's list to get, a couple of proposals in. So we can do it that way.
Kyle, do you know anybody other than Davey?
I'll have to check with Iris on who else they've been using, because I know there's been some changes that they've done recently. So let me check with them and see.
I got the name Moss Landscaping from the Memorial Park Conservancy.
Gary Moss?
Moss Landscaping. So Memorial Park also blends like the services of 3. They use Bartlett's, Davey, and Moss. So it seems like
that's the way to go. But I think even in that, we need to make sure that the scope for each is inherently clear. So I don't know how those scopes are broken up at the park, if it's, by a region or certain grid of the park. I'm not sure.
I know that we've been using like Davey for more of the prescribed treatments and doing like the aeration and such, like the like physical stuff, and then like the surveys and such have been going through Bartlett. But
yeah, that sounds like a really good approach, to say, okay, you are just in charge of the surveys and you are in charge of taking care of the trees, and split it up so that we're not putting, I really like the way Herman Park is doing it. I think that makes sense. Do you all have like a scope that you provide to the vendors, or do you just ask them for a proposal?
I would like to go back to the scope that we've already written. What Bartlett submitted already pretty much details what we need done.
It does, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we want to reinvent the wheel. And I also wonder if splitting the survey and the work, how do those guys communicate so that when the work is completed, it's transferred to the survey? I think that sounds tricky. For me, that way, as a consultant, that would be tricky. I'd rather do both tasks.
Is it like a check and balance, though, to make sure that what they are doing or what they're required to do, someone else is surveying and saying it is being done, and it's cataloged that way? So like one person is the records management type person, the other person is actually performing the work. Is that how you do it at Herman Park, or is that how do they work?
I think that the missing thing here that we have is that we actually do have an arborist on staff, and so they're managing the database in ArcGIS and within our actual tree inventory too, and so by them doing that, it's kind of like that's the central hub, that's the actual tree database is who we have in-house, and then any prescribed treatments and surveys and such are happening from Bartlett, from their expert advice and such. And then whenever because they're so tapped, it's like, okay, well, you guys don't have the resources to be able to accomplish this, and this. So now we're going to go to Davy to have them do it, and have them come in and do the tree aeration or the pruning or whatever, in addition to. But we're able to kind of keep track of what tree has been had what by our internal database, rather than something like ArborScope that that Bartlett uses, which in our case, from the with the parking benefit district and the super neighborhood and such, having ArborScope makes sense because we don't have an on staff like data manager or anything like that, or arborist. So it's kind of tricky to compare the two.
Yeah.
But it's because having a paid staff on in-house is the coordination. That's really the project manager, I think, that Iris is kind of taking the lead on under your guidance. But ArborScope, I don't know, that's a month, I mean, an annual fee. It's not, I don't remember how much it is, but I guess I'm in Nikki's camp right now. I'm a little concerned about Bartlett's performance, because this really needs to be systematic. So I wonder if part of this would, okay, here's a wild idea, and Kyle, you can, I wonder if we could pay Iris to do it.
Like a contract with Iris as an arborist contract. Okay. Would she have access? So would, and this is just me thinking, would that be with the district paying for ArborScope and her being the manager of it, and that way it stays with the district, or would it be with her having autonomy over the database of tree, or just help me walk through this so I can understand what we might need to do on this side if that is an option.
I'm wondering if, I think she mentioned to me, and I have not mentioned this to her at all. It just occurred to me. Is she part-time, Kyle?
So all right. So Emma is the arborist. Then I was just, because Iris Emma. Iris is our director of green space, and so Emma works underneath Iris with that. So now Emma is part-time? She's full-time now. She's full-time arborist with us, and she's a certified arborist. So it's I mean, I think that would be a conversation that could be had with her. I don't know. I know she had done contract work prior to coming on board with us in the horticulture department, and then moving into the forestry department too. So, I mean, it could be possible.
What do y'all think about that? Nikki, you specifically?
I don't have an issue with it. I just need to get clarity, and I need to make sure that, that's something, just how it will work. And that's all I'm asking, is how it would work with making sure that she has the tools and the things that she needs as a contractor to provide the services that we're asking for. But like with our other contractors, we don't lose data when they move on, right?
Yeah.
And so again, go ahead.
Oh, I was just agreeing. I'm sorry. I was just
that's
like,
it.
yeah.
I just want to be able to, and to Kathleen's point a while ago, the district should have a database of these things. And we don't, because we don't have an arborist on staff. But there are certain instances where we've hired folks to do the work. And then we don't have access to certain things because they're no longer employed by the district. It may be a PDF, but we can't do anything with that. Or an Excel file, and we can update an Excel file, but it's not a comprehensive system that keeps us relevant and on top of certain things. So I don't think this is I think this is a great idea. I just want to look at it logistically and make sure that what we put in place is something that's sustainable, whether we put a process in procedure in place, and the people, if they change, that's fine. The process and the procedure and the data stays the same. Or the accessibility to data stays the same.
So Nikki, do you guys have like an intranet or like a data mine, or like like, do you have the technology to be able to store something as like sustainably, like
Yeah,
for these projects and stuff?
Yeah, we have our servers, we have access to all the things, and they've been the same. So that's
Okay.
that's not the issue. The issue again is accessibility and
Right.
making sure that if the person changes, the process and the data is still accessible, that it doesn't leave with them.
Sorry, do you have GIS?
I don't have GIS. My consultants have GIS. And so that's what I'm saying. I still have access to what I need, but in the event the district has to get GIS, we will. We just don't have it right now because we don't do any of that in-house.
Yeah, but you don't have anybody to operate it, and
that's why that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it were my project, it was under my control, what I would do, I like to keep things super, super simple so that data are transferable. I personally would use an Excel spreadsheet in conjunction with a survey that locates the trees, because we've got the trees numbered. And one thing that Bartlett has not done, which I think personally is a good idea, is put tags on the trees, because you have to go to that GIS database to figure out which tree it is rather than just looking at a tag. And they're innocuous tags. They're a very benign little metal tag that somebody out in the field can just say, oh, okay, that's tree number 73, and document its condition. So I would keep it, to me, Excel is perfectly fine, in conjunction with a survey that locates and numbers the trees.
Yeah, if the Excel file contains the Latin long, it can always be imported into any GIS system at any point in time. We could dump it. We could ask the planning department to create a map. So an Excel spreadsheet with Latin long can serve.
So that when it's updated for everyone across the board. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But tree tags, though, that's something that we battled with really getting everybody on board with here. But it's you don't see them. You don't see the tags. And I kid you not, I just was in Kew Gardens in England, and like, there's tags there in the the Royal Gardens. There are tree tags on it, and it just it's like you've got to have that if you're going to maintain trees, and if you have, like, if you're using them as an asset, this is an asset tag, and that is a way to really go back to them. Because even with the Latin long, something we noticed with our surveys over the last 20 years is that as the technology changed, the exactness of the GPS coordinates changed, and then it's like, oh my goodness, we have, our data ended up changing because of just simply technology changing and getting better. And so
exactly, and that's my fear of technology too, that sometimes it's not as accurate as it represents itself.
Right.
Yeah, but GIS stuff is still not entirely accurate.
Right.
It's close enough for our work right now. I think it's close enough.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
So,
and it can also be pulled into a Google map, if you have the coordinates. It doesn't necessarily even have to be ArcGIS. So.
No, that's right. Good. And like I said, I keep things super simple, so I do use Google Earth quite a bit for things that don't require absolute precision.
Yeah.
So it works. And so, Nikki, could we lift what I don't want to plagiarize Bartlett's work, of course, but that scope was pretty much developed by me. So if we could use that scope to start with, that would, I think, give us a big head start, not reinvent or rewrite.
No problem. Just go. No problem. We're not lifting anything from Bartlett. So yeah, I'm okay with that. We can start with that. And so what we're asking for is to onboard a consultant to serve as an arborist for this work, or are we looking to onboard a new agency or company to facilitate the scope that Bartlett was supposed to do? I just want to be clear on what we're asking for. We're asking for quotes or estimates for that work to be done in a continuous programmatic way. Are we looking for two separate things, or a singular company? That's what I want clarity on.
If we had a company that we had a firm that we were, I just worry about data transfers as you do and retaining data. So if we have a firm that can do the work and document it, that's great. The contract person, and I don't think this would take a lot of time to document the work that people do. The contract person, as I see it, would simply verify that the work has been done and document it in Excel.
There's two
So to
separate
me, it's like
tasks.
Well, it's one person or one firm to actually do the pruning and fertilizing and whatever we need done in a programmatic way, and then another person, an expert, it's got to be an arborist, that can verify that the work was actually done and then document it for our retention.
Yeah.
But two separate things. Just wanted to make sure.
Two
So
big
the,
Thoughts on that?
a field group, and then data and verification.
Data management. Kyle, do you have any thoughts on that? How that would?
No, I think that's on point. I'm trying to think of how to even describe the scope of the contractor. Then, as far as, okay, here's the spreadsheet. This is the data. Make sure you're checking on it and things. Just like what would be the scope and expectation of them.
Yeah, I could pull up a job description for a city arborist and see if we can pull out language. I mean, obviously, all of it is not going to be pertaining to our work, but we could definitely pull language from there and run it by Kyle, so you could share it with your team and say, this is what they're looking to do. Does this make sense? Maybe?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we even have the job description of the person that we're talking about too. So
Yeah.
we could use that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just thinking like because obviously it's not a full-time, type of expectation. It would be really, this is how much time we expect of you. This is, or is it performance based, things like that.
And I would say, just thinking it through, I think that it's really less than, so this is an event-based contract, right? So anytime we have arbor care done, we need this person to help us, which is not going to be it's not going to be like 3 hours a week or whatever. It's going to be maybe 5 hours once every 6 months is what I see.
Yeah, that makes sense then. And that's the kind of detail that I was like trying to think through, like what would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's tied to the events, so that would, one thing that we could you share the job description that you guys used for the arborist?
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot of that will be eliminated because she's got a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
Other than, I mean, I think data management is probably not a significant, I mean, it takes time for sure, but it's not her primary job responsibility, I don't think.
Let's see.
I mean, we don't need it right now, but I think what we could do is take a look at it and edit that.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
think?
Yeah. If you could share it with all of us, and we can all take a stab at it and send it back and forth and have something that makes sense for Nikki to put out, and we could hopefully. I would think the goal is that we do this, and by our next meeting, we have kind of the idea of what we want, and we're able to present to the committee so we can take a vote and move forward with that.
Sure.
Is that something that we could possibly look towards doing?
I don't see why not. I'm
Okay.
willing to help on the proposals and the job descriptions. I mean,
Sounds
the
good.
scope of work, not the proposal, the scope of
Yeah.
work. Sorry.
Okay.
And so my task is to, once the once the scope and the job descriptions are complete, we're going to put out a request for a quote for these people to do this work, correct?
I guess
Yes.
from those three companies, right? Davy, Bartlett, and I don't know if you want to consider Moss Landscaping.
Well, I like Moss a lot, but I thought they did mostly, I didn't think they did arbor care, do they? I guess
Well,
at Memorial.
And the Conservancy uses the three, but probably for different reasons. So let's just, I guess, look into that. Maybe it's just Bartlett and Davy, and we try and figure out the work. And then so the idea is that we'll bring it, Nikki, back to the committee at the next meeting for a vote to see if we can move forward.
So Nikki, do you have the proposal that Bartlett sent that we could use as a starting point? Or are you going to draft the scope of work? Who's going to draft that?
Right?
Don't
you have the scope of work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else do I need to draft in addition to that?
Well, I think we need to take a look at it to see if it specifies what we're thinking. I mean, I just think
and again, I'm not an expert arborist. I'm not an expert in that space, so that's something you guys would have to do. I know my limitations. So Kyle, Kathleen, take it away.
I think we were going to carve out in the Bartlett, like where they have the database and the tree inventory, right? And we want that to go to the arborist consultant, kind of, and then whatever remains in Bartlett pertaining to the care and the irrigation and the treatment of the trees, that's what we want to kind of separate out. Is that correct, Kathleen?
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I probably have that proposal someplace, but I'm not sure. And that's why I was asking.
Have it too. We can find it and send it out.
Send it to everybody.
Yeah, and just distribute it, and we could pick and choose from that and just edit that, not reinvent things.
Yeah.
And Kathleen, if it helps, I'm happy for us to meet offline and go over it and get it buckled down. So.
Yeah, okay. That would be great, Kyle. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll look up that arbor care proposal, and we'll wait. Oh, you're awesome, Nikki. And then Kyle will send out that arborist job description, and we'll just take the technical stuff out of the Bartlett proposal and make two kinds of things to bring back to the committee in order for a vote next month. Does that sound good?
Works for me.
All right. Okay, with that, I'm going to move forward, and so we'll just focus on that for now. So we're at the open forum. I did want to ask again, I think we kind of talked about Friday mornings for a meeting. Is 9 o'clock, does that work for everyone? Can we go ahead and reschedule it? I'm waiting to hear back from Russ and Amy and Chef. So hopefully, will Friday mornings be good for both of y'all if we move forward with that?
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock on the third Friday, or just which Friday are we looking at?
I'm looking at any Friday. If there's one that doesn't work for you, let me know. Second or third is better. First is going to be hard for us to get the information put together. So it's no worries. You don't have to tell me right now. You can just email Nikki. You can just email me. I know you already responded to my earlier email.
Second and third in the morning.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be looking at second or third. So look for that new invite to come out once I hear back from the other committee members. With that brings me to the end of our agenda for this month. Open forum. Do any of our committee members have anything they'd like to add? No? Well,
just let you guys know that I'm working to do site visits for sidewalks, get them photographed, get our landscape architect to identify and our engineer to identify what would need to be done to cure some of these things and see what the committee wants to do about any of the minor sidewalk repairs. Also, I have a call into District D to kind of talk through some of the district items that they've reached out to me about, just so we can identify if there's work that's happening adjacent to or in Museum Park, in addition to traffic calming, if there's some additional dollars available for the work that we'd like to see done. And maybe there's an opportunity for some low-level match, whether it be from the district directly or from the council, district service funds, the district, and our parking benefit. That way we can get some things done. So I'm just working to see how we can get one, photo documented inventory of things that we'd like to have done, accurate numbers of what it would cost, and then a strategy of how to get them implemented or executed so that we can actually see progress from our work. So that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Nikki. So in the, I can't remember which report it's in, Livable Center Study or the Caroline Promenade, a lot of that work is already done. That's the sidewalk areas have been identified that are under stress is how they described it.
Right, but I want to get accurate, like recent photos, because we did that a few years ago, and things, they do change over the years, and I just want to make sure that we take, because that's our baseline, right? We're using those two as our baseline documents. We don't deviate from that to just find some things to do. We have documents, we have source documents, so those will be used as our base document to just be able to pinpoint the areas we go and get updated photos for, so that we can get accurate cost. So we're using everything that we've invested in to help with decision making.
That's exactly. I just didn't want them to feel like they had to survey the entire neighborhood again, because we've already, like I said, but they do change over time, and there are areas that are in desperate need right now. And I also would like to, if you're talking to District D, reach out to the city, because the sidewalk in front of the Clayton Library, which should be maintained by the city, is a huge tripping hazard. There are panels that are uplifted there. So I don't know, the super neighborhood can do that too. So
you have photos of the sidewalk in front of Clayton? If somebody can send those to me and I can get, okay, send those to me ASAP, and I can start kicking a little dust in that area. See what we can get done.
And I'll send you a couple of photos of the other locations too that people have mentioned to me. And the other thing that people keep mentioning are the blue tiles. So as we repair sidewalks, maybe we can do the curbing adjacent to those sidewalks if they're at an intersection, and install the blue tile markers as we go.
Possibility. Can't make any promises, but definitely makes sense, and it's a possibility. So yeah, as much information as you can give me so that we can make, a case, put the numbers together, and then have decisions made by the board. I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily asking the district to pay for it, but just those were projects that people were thinking about for the parking benefit district.
Okay. Well, I'll strike that from the record. Definitely.
No.
We'll just strike it from the record. No, that's perfectly fine.
The sidewalks, I do think, are the district's responsibility, and the cities.
Yes.
More than the super neighborhoods.
Oh, absolutely, sidewalks, but I mean the tiles and some other things we want to definitely look into and just be wise about our investments and our joint stewardship in the area. So I agree. You don't get a fight from me. Just information helps me to advocate for the cause.
Okay. Do I have any other comments?
No, I'm just sending a list of arborists that I kind of Googled. Don't have relationships with any of these people, but just kind of looking at what we have to pick from. There's quite a few, but you guys are the experts, and I trust your judgment on this stuff.
Okay.
You just sent something?
I'm sending it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when you actually start looking at the arbor care firms, they're not there are few and at that caliber, just like any
And so
other expertise.
Agreed. You know, I don't have enough information to call these people experts or not, but there's a couple that I saw they have quite a bit experience and kind of they look to be sufficient for what we need.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Anything from anyone else? All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. So thank you all for joining us today, and we'll keep in touch over email for the couple of action items that we need to work on. And I will see you guys next month, hopefully a Friday morning. We'll get that invite to you out ASAP. Thank you all so much.
One final question. Thank you very much. Melanie and Nikki, thank you for sending information, and Kyle for sharing your expertise. Should we send meeting notes, not necessarily meeting minutes, because there were 3 people that couldn't be here?
Yeah, we'll send out a little recap of the action items that, yes, that'll come.
That'll be great.
We'll do our best to get it out this week.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Y'all stay warm. It's
Yeah.
warming up.
It's got another light freeze on Saturday, so be careful this weekend, but it won't be as bad. So
thank y'all very much. Have a great
good one. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.